The Art of War is a Chinese military study written during the 6th century BC by Sun Tzu. It is one of the oldest and most influential books on military strategy in the world. The book consists of 13 chapters, each of which discusses a different aspect of warfare. In summary, the book advises that a successful military campaign should rely on strategy and tactics rather than brute force, and that a good leader should be skilled in both. It also emphasizes the importance of knowing your enemy, as well as yourself, and advises that the best way to win a war is to avoid having to fight one in the first place. Other key themes include the value of intelligence and espionage, the importance of logistics and planning, and the need to adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield. Chapter 1 of The Art of War is titled Laying Plans. In this chapter, Sun Tzu stresses the importance of having a clear and well-thought-out plan before going to war. He advises that a good plan should take into account the terrain, the weather, the size and strength of the armies, and the abilities of the commanders. He also recommends gathering as much intelligence as possible about the enemy and using it to anticipate their movements and tactics. Sun Tzu advises that a good plan should be flexible and adaptable, as circumstances on the battlefield are always changing. He also emphasizes the importance of having a clear objective and staying focused on it, rather than getting bogged down in minor details or being swayed by distractions. Finally, he advises that a good plan should be kept secret and not shared with others, as it can be exploited by the enemy if it falls into their hands. Chapter 2 of The Art of War Waging War discusses the importance of understanding and adapting to different types of terrain, both natural and man-made, in order to gain an advantage in battle. The chapter emphasizes the need to carefully assess the lay of the land and its potential impact on strategy, including factors such as the ease of movement and access to resources. It also advises on the importance of using terrain to one's advantage, such as by occupying high ground or using natural obstacles to block the enemy's movement. Additionally, the chapter advises against fighting in unfavorable terrain, as it can lead to unnecessary losses. Chapter 3 of The Art of War Attack by Stratagem discusses the concept of offense and defense in the context of military strategy. The chapter advises that it is generally better to be on the offensive, as it allows for more control over the situation and the ability to choose the time and place of battle. However, the chapter also notes that there are times when it may be necessary to switch to a defensive stance, such as when facing a superior enemy or when dealing with logistical challenges. The chapter advises that, in such cases, it is important to choose a strong defensive position and to use tactics such as ambushes and feints to offset the enemy's advantage. Overall, the chapter emphasizes the importance of being flexible and adaptable in one's approach to warfare. Chapter 4 of The Art of War Tactical Dispositions discusses the concept of maneuvering, or the use of positioning and movement to gain an advantage in battle. The chapter advises that the key to successful maneuvering is to remain unpredictable and to constantly seek opportunities to outmaneuver the enemy. This can involve using various tactics such as flanking, encircling, and feinting to achieve superior positioning on the battlefield. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of adapting to changing circumstances and being flexible in one's approach to maneuvering. Additionally, the chapter advises against becoming overly attached to any one plan or strategy, as this can lead to a lack of flexibility and a failure to take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Chapter 5 of The Art of War Use of Energy discusses the concept of energy, or the use of one's resources, both physical and psychological, to achieve victory in battle. The chapter advises that the key to harnessing energy is to have a clear and well-organized plan, as this allows for the efficient use of resources and minimizes waste. The chapter also advises that it is important to be aware of one's own energy levels as well as those of the enemy, and to use this information to one's advantage. Additionally, the chapter advises on the importance of maintaining the morale and psychological well-being of one's troops, as this can have a significant impact on their energy and overall effectiveness. Chapter 6 of The Art of War Weak Points and Strong discusses the concept of weakness and strength, or the importance of understanding and exploiting the strengths and weaknesses of both oneself and the enemy. The chapter advises that it is important to be aware of one's own strengths and weaknesses and to use this knowledge to develop a sound strategy. It also advises that it is important to assess the enemy's strengths and weaknesses and to use this information to one's advantage, either by attacking their weaknesses or by avoiding their strengths. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of constantly reassessing the balance of strength and weakness on the battlefield and adapting one's strategy accordingly in battle. Chapter 7 of The Art of War Maneuvering an Army discusses the concept of law of the war, or the importance of understanding and following the rules and customs that govern warfare. The chapter advises that it is important to be aware of the laws and customs that apply to a particular conflict, as violating them can have serious consequences. The chapter also advises on the importance of using the law of war to one's advantage, such as by using legal means to gain an upper hand or by using deception to mislead the enemy. Additionally, the chapter advises that it is important to be prepared for the potential legal consequences of one's actions and to have a plan in place for dealing with them. Chapter 8 of The Art of War Variation of Tactics discusses the concept of variation in tactics, or the importance of being flexible and adaptable in one's approach to warfare. The chapter advises that it is important to be able to switch between different tactics as the situation demands, and to be open to trying new and unconventional approaches. It also advises that it is important to be aware of the tactics being used by the enemy and to be prepared to counter them. Additionally, the chapter advises on the importance of using deception and surprise to one's advantage, such as by disguising one's true intentions or by launching unexpected attacks. Chapter 9 of The Art of War The Army on the March discusses the concept of the army on the move, or the importance of effective movement and logistics in warfare. The chapter advises that it is important to have a well-organized and efficient system for moving and supplying one's army, as this can have a significant impact on its effectiveness on the battlefield. It also advises on the importance of considering factors such as terrain, weather, and the enemy's movements when planning the movement of one's army. Additionally, the chapter advises on the importance of maintaining control over key transportation routes and resources, and on the use of mobility and speed to one's advantage. Chapter 10 of The Art of War is titled A Classification of Terrain. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the various types of terrain and how they can be used to advantage in warfare. He identifies 3 types of terrain: 1. Natural, 2. Entangling, and 3. Temporary. Natural terrain refers to the physical features of the landscape, such as mountains, rivers, and forests. Entangling terrain refers to ground that is difficult to pass through, such as swamps or dense forests. Temporary terrain refers to man-made structures, such as fortifications and walls. Sun Tzu advises that a military leader should choose the type of terrain that is most advantageous for their army and should avoid terrain that is disadvantageous. He also advises using the terrain to one's advantage in battle, such as by occupying high ground or using natural obstacles to block the enemy's advance. Chapter 11 of The Art of War is titled The 9 Situations. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the 9 different types of terrain on which military operations can take place and the strategies that are most effective in each type. The 9 situations are 1. Dispersive ground, 2. Facile ground, 3. Contentious ground, 4. Open ground, 5. Ground of intersecting highways, 6. Serious ground, 7. Difficult ground, 8. Hemmed-in ground, and 9. Desperate ground. Sun Tzu advises that a military leader should be familiar with all of these different types of terrain and should adapt their tactics and strategies accordingly. He also stresses the importance of knowing the enemy's situation and the dangers of overconfidence or underestimating the enemy. Chapter 12 of The Art of War, Attack by Fire, discusses the strategic use of fire as a weapon in warfare. Sun Tzu advises attacking the enemy's camps, fortifications and supplies with fire, but warns of the potential dangers of using fire and the importance of proper planning and preparation. He recommends using deception and surprise in a fire attack and leveraging natural elements such as wind and dry grass to increase its effectiveness. Sun Tzu also emphasizes the need to protect one's own camps and supplies from fire and to have a reliable means of escape. Chapter 13 of The Art of War is titled The Use of Spies. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the importance of gathering intelligence in warfare and the various methods that can be used to gather it. He advises using spies to gather information about the enemy's strengths, weaknesses, plans, and movements. Sun Tzu recommends using both internal spies, who are recruited from within the enemy's ranks, and external spies, who operate outside the enemy's organization. He also advises using deceit and disguise when working with spies and cautioning against relying too heavily on any single source of information. Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of treating spies well and maintaining their loyalty, as they are a valuable resource in the art of war.